Welcome back to a video from thedigital-lifestyle.com. This is a multi-poly tutorial looking at noise. We're going to look at how you can use a noise as a source on the multi-poly. And this applies to other synths with noise as well, and how you can shape those to filters and envelopes to create different kind of effects. So we're looking at percussion, effects, adding it to enhance lead sounds and creating evolving textures. So there's lots we can do with it. And it's got a quite good noise section on the multi-poly. So unlike the oscillators, noise isn't pitched, it's just noise. On some synths you'll see different sort of labels of types of noise. On the multi-poly is one source, but you can adjust how it sounds. And with those, we can use those noise to add some interesting effects and sounds. So I'm going to start with an initial program, and we'll look at some different ways of incorporating noise into sounds to make them more interesting. So, initial program. So I'm just going to turn this oscillator off for now, and here's the noise. So you can hear you've got the basic white noise there, and you've got some controls over it. You can adjust the cutoff. A lot of synths don't have that noise sort of effect. You can bring it right down like that, and you hit straight away. You can hear. You can probably create some interesting sounds with that. Speckle, it does that. So you can hear that raw sort of gets reduced. So there's a nice sort of middle of the range noise there, mid-range noise. We've got a level on it. We can control the panning of it if we're in stereo filter mode, which we're currently not. But I could switch into stereo filters, and I can move that around your headphones if you're listening on headphones. Leave it center for now, and then where it gets really useful is you can send it to one of the two filters, both of the two filters in serial or parallel. So let me switch this into parallel. So we've got two different filters. I've got a high pass and a low pass, and that's the high. So that was going through the low pass, now to the high pass, and I can control that as well. Straight away you can hear the sort of seaside type of sounds as it goes through that filter as well. So we really have got a lot of options with it. So the other thing you've got as well is you've got the source on here is whether it's per patch or per voice. So if it's at the patch level, it's like a traditional synth, like the multi-poly you've got over there. So it plays it at so you get a noise. As you add more, you hear more. So if I play a chord, you hear more of that noise coming through, because the voice, when two voices play simultaneously, you get two sources of noise. If I turn it to voice, you see it doesn't make any difference. So depending on the kind of effect you want, you can choose which way around you want it to be. So let's have a look at some filter control. Let's go back to filter A, the low pass. I think we'll leave the cutoff like that. So now if I start to change this cutoff, you can hear that. And then, sorry about your ear. If I bring the resonance up as well, you can create here, you can hear. You can create a howling sort of a wind effect. In fact, let's just do that. Pretty simple to do now. All we need to do is modify that cutoff a bit random like I was doing then. So we could use the LFO. If we go to the filter LFO, we could use one of the sample and hold ones. Sounds quite digital, which you may the effect you want. But if you do a continuous one, there you go. No oscillators on either yet. And of course we could just it's just sci-fi noise. So that's the kind of thing you can do with it for that. The other thing you could apply is a bandpass filter, which gives you some nice effects. Turn the chorus off. So it sounds a bit better actually as a wind effect than it did with the low pass. So you get some nice effects like that. And if I turn that speckle, you don't really hear it so much at the high, but if I go into the lower cutoff, you're into nuclear bomb territory there, aren't you? And you can hear the difference there. So of course, as well as using the envelope, as well as using LFO, we could use an envelope. So I can reduce that cutoff right down and apply some envelope, and go to filter envelope, and you can do some basic. So you get into some sci-fi type effect here. Oi. So you can hear that kind of effect that you can get using the filters as well. Let's have a listen to a high pass filter. So you can get a very different effect then. So if I reduce that resonance down a bit, I can make this more of a chuff sound. You get sort of a, I was thinking maybe if I put that with a band pass. So you're into the more percussive type effects then. So you're into your sort of got your synth snare. And I think if you were to get a triangle wave like that, and maybe we should pitch envelope that, probably the same as filter A. So let's just, for speed, we can, instead of doing the pitch envelope, we can apply that filter A. We're into synth drums pretty quickly there. Let's drop it down an octave. There's one with it using, let's try the Prophet one. So you're into sort of synth kind of drum territory on there. Probably just apply a bit of envelope. Of course, we need it on the filter as well. There we go, some sort of tune percussion on it there. Now, if we got really tight with the envelope, and probably apply it maybe a bit of a high pass, we can get into sort of hi-hat type territory. So we'll do it with the amp envelope. There we go. And then, so it's pretty easy to create that sort of hi-hat. And of course, we've got a motion sequencer. So what I could do there is just trigger the envelopes. We could use the arpeggiator, I suppose. Let me do that first, just to show you. We put the arpeggiator on. And then if you open that envelope a bit, you get the open hi-hat. We'll do it with the amp. But actually, let's turn the arpeggiator off, and I'll quickly show you the trick I'm going to use for this now. So we've got sequencers on. I'm going to use a shape lane. I'm just going to keep it very quick, just have a single shape. Apply that to there, and that will re-trigger the envelope now when this is at 100 like that. So we can get to 16th like this. And then the little trick that you can do is on the envelope, so that amp envelope, I'm just going to do a decay to be controlled by sequence B just a little bit. And let's try opening that up, see what happens. There we go, so it just adds a bit of movement to it. You can try exaggerating that, see what it does. A bit too much. We could even think you could do it like that. I like that one better. We could probably turn that oscillator off. So there we go. So we're creating sort of hi-hats. I've got a couple of examples of that. So here's a drum pattern. So you can hear that snare sound I was creating before. And the 16th blocks, but there's the the shaker that I called it. So let's turn those off. In fact, we can do it. So there's the shaker, and I'm just using that to open it up a bit, the motion sequencer, to give it a bit of feel to it. If we go look at the snare level layer, you see I'm just using the motion sequencer to flick that open. Using the step pulse there just to control those drums, and I think I'm using the filter on layer B. Just turn that on and off. On, off, on, off. If I have it on all the time, you'll just hear it on every step. So this is the cylinders type sound. So this is going what I mentioned. If I turn the noise off, you can hear that pitch envelope doing the with a triangle wave, and then this is the sort of the noise that goes on top of it. If I turn the oscillator off, you can hear it's a fairly basic open close of that filter. Let's just go back to initial program and we'll just have a look at how we can sort of incorporate those sort of noise effects into musical sounds. So if I get a nice, let's go with a flute. So we've got a bit of a nice sort of a flute type sound we could make from that. Make it mono. So on the app, we'll just bring it. That's it. And then we'll add a bit of LFO on there, pitch LFO. So if I go to the LFO, the pitch LFO, I'm just going to fade that in slightly. Maybe a bit of delay as well. Okay, so now let's see if we can do some noise just to brighten that up a bit. So I'm going to go with a low colour on it. Now if we perhaps add a bit of LFO to the filter as well. So perhaps it seems a bit subtler. Because what we can do is send that through to the other filter. So if I'm going to parallel mode, so the two filters are independent, I've got here is the second filter, which I can now control, and I can probably shape that with a SEM sort of bandpass. Let's put it into bandpass mode. And let's have a listen to what we can do with that. And then if I turn the filter down actually and apply some envelope to it, and in filter B we can control that. It's like the chuffing sound at the beginning of a flute. And if I bring the sustain up, it brings sort of the ceiling, so you can hear a bit of noise coming through as well. Let's turn that down for a little bit for now. Let's, if we can apply a little bit of LFO on that one. So it just adds a little bit of nice sort of effect on there, and I think really we should have the two filters actually probably operating at the same rate. So I'm going to put that filter back in, and for this filter we could make the speed the same, or we could use both, but I'll make it the same, 5.842. We've had them in serial. Probably a bit too subtle then, isn't it? Because we lose some of the higher frequencies of the pulse. So maybe I'll put it in parallel. And then you can play around with this. Make it more subtle. And then if I start to bring in some effects, so that's a nice way of using the noise a bit more subtly. So you can use the envelopes and the combination and everything else. Now, of course, you've got the motion sequencer, and I think we should create some. We haven't done a lot with the wind effect, so let's get a nice wind pad going. So put it into poly mode. In fact, even better, we'll go back to initial performance. Okay, so we'll get a nice pad sound first. So just do the envelopes. Now, should we use a sawtooth or should we use pulse width? Let's use pulse width. I'll use that. So there we go. So we've got a nice, let's brighten up a bit. So let's see if we can add some sort of atmosphere without using the wind. And we're definitely going to use the other second filter for that one. So we can have it, so we can play, have all the synth bit going through one, or musical bit going through filter A and here, going through a bandpass. So I'll have a go at recording this, I think. So if I go to record, sequence lane A, and it's the cutoff of filter B we want to change. So so I think I'll have a go at recording this, do something like this. So we'll put it at this low late like that. Then I'm going to record sequence lane A, and let's start. Now that's a bit too short and repetitive, so I'm not going to have different timings on it. I think for I'm going to go right down to just the single type note, but I can lengthen that. So it sounds like this. I'm going to add a bit of randomness to it as well, using the LFO. Just a subtle bit, and I'll use that trick I used before. So the filter B LFO, I'll put it on one of the continuous ones. And I think you can balance that out by reducing that down slightly. I think I prefer it without the speckle actually. And let's give it a bit of atmosphere with some cross delay and some reverb. And you can see I could play around with that a bit more. I could play about with the resonance. You could assign it to the chaos or the mod control. Now, a final thing I want to just see is I'm going to try and get a bass sound and make it a bit more aggressive using some noise. So I'm going to use an MS-20 type bass. There we go. So I've got a bit on. So if I put the noise on, actually you can hear straight away it actually has a nice, interesting effect with it. So you can hear it adds about a bit of aggression, even if you turn it right down. So just adding that subtle level actually makes quite a difference. And again, you can do the same trick with the filters. I've got these in serial. So you can use it like balance for like that. I actually think it sounds better through the low pass. Like that. So as you can see, there's loads of things you can do with it. And you can route the noise through the filters in parallel, in serial. You've got motion sequencing, you've got LFOs, you've got envelopes. So there's a hell of a lot you can do with it, a lot more than I've shown you now. But I think that's enough for this video. So if you've got any suggestions for other topics, other multipoly, Modwave, Wavestate, Opsix, now I've just got an Opsix as well, I'll definitely look at those, or any other synths you can see. I'll definitely look at those and do some tutorials on those. So thanks for watching this video. I'll see you on the next one.